Hello and welcome to another Read With Me session. I'm yours truly, Isabel Bedell, and I'm here to read with you this amazing book. We've been reading it this month on financial freedom, and it's amazing that we're almost at the end of this book. This has been one of those books that really makes you think, and depending whether you have like a pessimistic view or like an optimistic view of the world, how it is, how it's going, this book could be really beneficial to you. Okay. Or it could actually make you feel like, shoot, where's the world going? So I really enjoyed it because it gives me a different perspective every single time that I read this book, which is awesome. I really appreciate that, Morgan. All right, so we're on chapter number 19. It's called All Together Now, What We've Learned About the Psychology of Your Own Money. Congratulations, you're still reading. It's time to tie together a few things we've learned. This chapter is a bit of a summary, a few short, actionable lessons that can help you make better financial decisions. First, let me tell you a story about a dentist appointment gone horribly, Ari. It teaches us something vital about the dangers of giving advice about what to do with your money. Clarence Hughes went to the dentist in 1931. His mouth was radiating pain. His dentist put him under a crude anesthesia to ease the pain. When Clarence awoke hours later, he had 16 fewer teeth and his tonsils were removed. And then everything went wrong. Clarence died a week later from his surgery's complications. His wife sued the dentist, but not because the surgery went awry. Every surgery risked death in 1931. Clarence, she said, never consented to this procedure in the first place and wouldn't if he were asked. The case wove through the courts, but went nowhere. Consent between doctor and patient went black and white in 1931. One court summed up the idea that doctors require freedom to make the best medical decisions, and without such, we could not enjoy the advancement of science. For most of history, the ethos of medicine was that doctor's job was to fix the patient, and what the patient thought about the doctor's treatment plans was irrelevant. Dr. J. Katz wrote about the philosophy in this book. It's called The Silent World Between Doctors and Patients. And he wrote in the book, doctors felt that in order to accomplish that objective, that they were obligated to attend their patients' physical and emotional needs and to do so on their own authority without consulting with their patients about the decisions that needed to be made. And that idea that patients may also be entitled to sharing the burdens of decisions with the doctors was never part of the ethos of medicine. What the hell? This wasn't ego or malice. It was a belief in 2 points. Every patient wants to be cured. And the number 2, there's a universal and right way to cure them. Not requiring patients' consent in treatment plans makes sense if you believe in those 2 options. But that's not how medicine works. In the last 50 years, medical schools subtly shifted teaching away from treating disease and towards treating patients. That meant laying out options of treatment plans and then letting the patient decide the best path forward. This trend was partly driven by patient protection laws, partly by Katz's influential book, which argued that patients have wildly different views about what's worth it in medicine. So their beliefs have to be taken into consideration, Katz wrote. And this is what Katz wrote in his particular segment here. In his book, it is dangerous nonsense to assert that in the practice of their art and science, physicians can rely on their benevolent intentions, their abilities to judge what is the right thing to do. It's not that easy. Medicine is a very complex profession, and the interactions between physicians and patients are also very complex. The last line is so important. Medicine is a complex profession, and the interactions between physicians and patients are also very complex. You know what profession is also the same? Financial advice. I can't tell you what to do with your money because I don't know you. I don't know what you want. I don't know when you want it. I don't know why you want it. So I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money. I don't want to treat you like a dentist treated Clarence Hughes. But doctors and dentists aren't useless, obviously. They have knowledge. They know the odds. They know what tends to work, even if patients come to different conclusions about what kind of treatments is right for them. Financial advisors are the same. There are universal truths in money, even if people come to different conclusions about how they want to apply those truths to their own finances. With that caveat in place, let's take a look at a few short recommendations that can help you make better decisions with your money. Go out of your way to find humility when things are going right and forgiveness/compassion when they are going wrong. Because it's never as good or as bad as it looks. The world is a big and complex world. Luck and risk are both real and hard to identify. Do so when judging yourself and others. Respect the power of luck and risk, and you'll have a better chance of focusing on things that you can actually control. You'll also have a better chance of finding the right role models. Less ego, more wealth. Saving money is the gap between your ego and your income, and wealth is what you don't see. So wealth is created by suppressing what you could buy today in order to have more stuff or more options in the future. No matter how much you earn, you will never build wealth unless you can put a lid on how much fun you can have with your money right now, today. Manage your money in a way that helps you sleep at night. That's different from saying you should aim to earn the highest returns or save a specific percentage of your income. Some people won't sleep well unless they're earning the highest returns. Others will only get a good night's rest if they're conservatively investing. To each their own. But the foundation of does this help me sleep at night is the best universal guidepost for all financial decisions. If you want to do better as an investor, the single most powerful thing that you can do is increase your time horizon. Time is the most powerful force in investing. It makes little things grow big and big mistakes fade away. It can't neutralize luck and risk, but it pushes results closer towards what people deserve. Become okay with a lot of things going wrong. You can be wrong half the time and still make a fortune. Because a small minority of things account for the majority of outcomes. No matter what you're doing with your money, you should always be comfortable with a lot of stuff not working. That's just how the world is. So you should always measure how you've done by looking at your full portfolio rather than individual investments. It is fine to have a large chunk of poor investments and a few outstanding ones. That's usually the best case scenario. Judging how you've done by focusing on individual investments makes winners look more brilliant than they were, and losers appear more regrettable than they should. Use money to gain control over your time. Because not having control of your time is such a powerful and universal drag on happiness. The ability to do what you want, when you want it, with who you want, for as long as you want, pays the highest dividend that exists in finance. Be nicer and less flashy. No one is impressed with your possessions as much as you are. You might think you want a fancy car or a nice watch, but what you probably want is respect and admiration. And you're more likely to gain those things through kindness and humility than horsepower and chrome. Save, just save. You don't need a specific reason to save. It's great to save for a car or a down payment or a medical emergency, but saving for things that are impossible to predict or define is one of the best reasons to save. Everyone's life is a continuous chain of surprises. Savings that aren't earmarked for anything, in particular, is a hedge against life's inevitable ability to surprise the hell out of you at the worst possible moment. Define the cost of success and be ready to pay for it, because nothing worthwhile is free. Remember, the most financial costs don't have a visible price tag. Uncertainty, doubt, regret, those are the most common costs in the finance world. They're often worth paying, but you have to view them as fees, a price worth paying to get something nice in exchange, rather than fines, penalties that you should avoid. Worship room for error, a gap between what could happen in the future and what you need to happen in the future in order to do well is what gives you endurance, and endurance is what makes compounding magic over time. Room for error often looks like a conservative hedge, but if it keeps you in the game, it can pay for itself many times over. Avoid the extreme ends of financial decisions. Everyone's goals and desires will change over time, and the more extreme your past decisions were, the more you may regret them as you evolve. You should like risk because it pays off over time, but you should be paranoid of ruinous risk because it prevents you from taking future risks that will pay off over time. Define the game that you're playing and make sure that your actions are not being influenced by people playing a different game. And respect the mess. Smart, informed, and reasonable people can disagree in finance because people have vastly different goals and desires. There is no single right answer, just the right answer that works for you. Now let me tell you what works for me. And then that's the last chapter of this book, called Confessions. Interesting. I really enjoyed this chapter because it really does summarize everything in this book. By the way, the highlighted or the bolded parts of this particular chapter are the actual chapters in this book. So that's really, really nice that he did that. And that concludes chapter 19 of the Psychology of Money. And I will be going into the next chapter in this particular book. And that will be the final chapter of the financial freedom side of this particular book. And I'm super, super blessed and grateful that I had the opportunity to learn from this book, which I learned a lot. So I'll see you in the next video and talk to you soon. Bye.